Nancy Barasa's resignation has brought to an end her 10-month battle to keep the second most powerful job in the judiciary. Just yesterday, her appeal case at the Supreme Court challenging a recommendation by the 7-member tribunal led by Justice Agostino Ramadhani that declared her unfit to hold office was to begin had it not been for her lead counsel's absence. While granting an application to postpone the hearing to next week pending the lawyer's return, the 5-judge bench talked tough.
This court shall not entertain further applications for adjournment, and Mrs. Gusero will personally pay the costs of the adjournment.
Barasa, however, decided to abandon the case altogether. In her resignation letter to the Judicial Service Commission and to President Kibaki, Barasa stated that she was skeptical that the Supreme Court would deliver justice to her. Her statement reads in part, quote, "I do not see myself getting a fair and impartial hearing before the court as currently constituted," end quote. She says 2 of the judges, Chief Justice Dr. Willie Mutunga and Supreme Court Justice Smokin Wanjala, were part of the Judicial Service Commission that approved her removal from judiciary. She concludes that, quote, "they cannot therefore logically and legally sit on my appeal," end quote. Further, she felt the Chief Justice would be subjective in her case as he endorsed in a recent interview on Citizen TV the tribunal's recommendations against her, which was the subject of her appeal. She states, quote, "I still reject the tribunal's findings, which I found injudicious and not founded in known principles of law," end quote. Some lawyers, however, say she withdrew the case after realizing that her fight would be futile. Article 168 of the Constitution, sub-article 8, states that a judge who is aggrieved by a decision of the tribunal may appeal against the decision to the Supreme Court within 10 days after the tribunal makes its recommendations. Barasa filed her appeal well over 10 days after the Justice Agostino Ramadhani tribunal gave its verdict, and on that technicality alone, the case was bound to flop. It was an alleged case of assault that had gone unnoticed until the media got wind of it a week later that has now brought down the Deputy Chief Justice. Security guard Rebecca Kerubo complained that Barasa had pinched her nose and threatened to shoot her for insisting on checking her handbag at a security checkpoint at the Village Market shopping mall in Nairobi on New Year's Eve. Today, Kerubo, through her lawyer, said justice had been served. She is, however, contemplating suing the former Deputy Chief Justice for compensation.
If I were to come and pinch your nose, that one may be construed as a breach to the right of your privacy. So we demanded admission of liability. Thereafter, we called upon the Deputy Chief Justice to come and see us so that we mutually quantify damages. There was no reply to that letter. So therefore, the next logical move is always to go to court to lodge a civil suit.
Like most resignation letters would read, Barasa was also thankful for the privilege accorded to her to serve the country in the position of Deputy Chief Justice and the Vice President of the Supreme Court. She also begs Kenyans for forgiveness where she has fallen short and tells them we are all human. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.